Hi, this is Manish. This time with my trusty mask on, but still good old me. For those who are new here, I work as a trusted learning and talent partner to organizations here in Vietnam and Asia. And through this channel, I often share slices from my life. And today we are going to be looking at a slice of history from Vietnam. Where are we? Well, we're at this place called Bến Nhà Rồng. I think I got the tone right this time, but as always to my Vietnamese friends, I'm sorry if I got the pronunciation wrong. To all of my other friends, there's a simpler way to say this. This place is also called the Dragon Wharf. Also more commonly known as the Ho Chi Minh Museum, and that's the place that we want to get to. Let me just pan across to the other side to give you a perspective of where we are. We are at the junction of the Saigon River, which you can see right at the far end. That's the river. In fact, you can see some boats as well. And this is right in District 4. You can also see the Saigon skyline or some parts of it. And that's actually District 1 and District 2 at the far end. Pretty much the central business districts here. And for those who've been following my previous videos, the one especially about the Starlight Bridge, which was in District 7, closer to where I live. This place is about, I'd say about 8 kilometers. Driving, it probably takes about 15-20 minutes depending on traffic, of course, but it's about 8 kilometers from the Starlight Bridge. In case you want to check that video out, I will share a link to that in the description below. So yeah, there's quite a bit of history to this place. It's pretty old. It was constructed by the French way back in 1862, 1863, I guess. If my history serves me right, that was when the French colonized what was then called Indochina. But this building was very much a part of the commercial port of the city of Saigon. And in fact, starting from the late 1800s, you actually had commercial ships that used to be parked along here. So the building itself is a mix of European and East Asian architectural styles. I'm not sure if you can see this clearly, but on the rooftop, you'll see two dragons looking up at the moon. I meant statues, of course. The Vietnamese word for dragon is Rồng. So after 1954, following the defeat of the French and their withdrawal from Vietnam, this port changes hands, but continues to play a significant role in the years of the war that follows. So fast forward to 1975 onwards, and that's when Vietnam becomes one unified country. And this is when the headquarters of this commercial port is rebuilt by the unified Vietnamese government, goes on to eventually become the Ho Chi Minh Museum. This is of course not to be confused with the Ho Chi Minh Museum and Mausoleum in Hanoi. So for those who don't know this, Ho Chi Minh City takes its name from Vietnam's most influential founding leader from the 20th century, and that's President Ho Chi Minh. He's also fondly known as Bác Ho, or Uncle Ho to most Vietnamese. So, Ho Chi Minh is widely regarded as the Vietnamese hero of national liberation. And this museum has been designed as an elaborate description of his life and work, covering significant events from his birth in 1890 to his passing in 1969. As you can see, this museum is mostly a picture-based representation of important events from his life. So you'll see lots and lots of pictures from historical events from the life of Ho Chi Minh. So, for a brief period in its modern history, Vietnam was divided into North and South Vietnam, with Hanoi in the north and Saigon in the south being the respective capitals. Of course, all of this happened against the backdrop of a painful war. The country was finally reunified in 1975, and that's when Ho Chi Minh's dream was finally realized, almost 6 years after his passing. So Ho Chi Minh was born on May 19th of 1890, and that's when Vietnam had this colonial history with France as part of Indochina. Now the year 1911 was an important and consequential year in his life, but we'll hear a bit more about this later in the video. Over the years, regardless of ideological divides, Ho Chi Minh was a widely respected leader in the region and also internationally. He was widely covered by the global press and had many famous interactions with other iconic leaders from that time. So what's really cool about this place is that this was the actual staging point for an extremely consequential journey in the life of this man. This is the very place from where a young Ho Chi Minh set out on a French ship. It was the year 1911, and at that point this city was called Saigon, and this is where he embarked on a journey of almost 30 years where he traveled to places as far as France, many parts of Europe, America as well, and many countries in Asia and Africa. So that's a rainy day in Saigon. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I was not sure if I'd be able to make this video, but I'm happy that I'm fortunately inside and indoors. So as I come to the end of this video, I thought I'd leave you with the image of the Saigon skyline. In fact, there's also a ship that you can see there. And the future of Saigon and Vietnam looks amazing. It's cloudy today, but the future does look bright. But I also want you to know that while we see this bright future, we also have a rich history and a rich past, because I'm taking all of these images from inside of a museum. And that museum represents the vibrance and the richness of Vietnam's history. The thing that strikes me the most about Vietnamese people, besides all the other things that I've spoken to you about in the past, is this feeling of resilience. And I think I have known Vietnamese people and Vietnam as a nation to be one of the most resilient countries in the world. I wonder, what does being resilient mean according to you? I know there's a lot of good literature out there. In fact, there's so much of stuff that I've learned so much from. And to be honest with you, while I knew the meaning of the word resilience, It took me some really personal experiences in life to be able to truly appreciate and correlate what it meant, with what it meant rather. So one of the meanings of the word resilience that makes sense to me goes something like this. Resilience is the ability to recover from setbacks. It's the ability to adapt well to change. And it's also the ability to keep going in the face of adversity. And I think it's a beautiful thing to consider, especially when you're trying to bridge the gap from past to the future or from present to the future. Why is having resilience so important? After all, we don't live in a perfect world, do we? Now, before we get to that part, let's understand how does resilience work. One of the most important things that you need to have in order to be resilient is a sense of optimism about the future. And don't get me wrong, this optimism is not someone who chooses to be divorced from reality or tries to whitewash what is unpleasant. It's not that at all. Some of the most resilient people that I personally know are people who have the courage and the humility to admit to failures and setbacks. But one of the most amazing things that I find about resilient people is the view that failures are never permanent, that a failure is never to be looked upon as a permanent thing. And once you acknowledge that, it's easy for you to imagine how what's waiting for you on the other side is probably going to be better than what's happening right now in the present. And that's what helps resilient people sort of power through. And something that resilient people do much better than others is to have a sense of meaning from experiences. It's about imagining that future with a sense of optimism, but also with a sense of meaning. If you can relate to the meaning of this word resilience, I hope that you can challenge yourselves to imagine a future that hasn't happened yet while acknowledging the current reality. And the world's going to take a while to recover. But I want you to remember that if you were able to imagine that future with a sense of optimism, when you reach that point, you will be in a position of far greater strength than you were before this time of adversity. And that's when you'll be able to draw a lot of meaning from the experiences that you went through. And hopefully it will have helped you to grow as an individual. And that's really what resilience does to people. It helps us to grow. As you connect the dots in hindsight, as you look back at this point, at a future date, it will all start to make sense to you, and hopefully you will have truly appreciated the power of being resilient. I wish I could say that we are out of the woods as far as the pandemic goes, but we are not. The same holds true for Vietnam as much as it does for the rest of the world. In fact, at the time of recording this video, there's been a spike in local cases, which has prompted the authorities to ensure that there are some controls on things like public gatherings, although we don't have a full lockdown yet here in Vietnam. I'm aware that many countries are going through really horrific, unfortunate second waves, or sometimes more than that. I hope that you're doing all that it takes to stay safe and take care of yourselves. Don't forget to mask up, practice social distancing. If you have the vaccines available in your country, make sure that you schedule your appointment to take the shots. I look forward to seeing you guys and to connecting with you. My best wishes to you for strength and recovery during these times. This is Manish signing off. Stay safe and stay cool. If you like this channel, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to it as well. And do let me know what you think about this.